If this is going to remain the best country in the world, we've got to make sure that only the best can come. And that's why I am very, very strongly in favour of a merit-based system that is going to reward those that have showed the grit, the determination, the hustle, that have the education, that are going to come here and from day one, Trish, they're going to culturally assimilate and economically contribute. America doesn't need the B team from anywhere.
Well, that was Nick Adams advocating for a merit-based immigration system with our Trish Regan earlier today, after his interview on Fox & Friends this morning prompted President Trump to tweet this. Nick Adams' new book, Green Card Warrior, is a must-read. The merit-based system is the way to go. Canada, Australia, Fox & Friends here to discuss. Jim Amos and Alex Nowrasteh. Guys, let me just explain to the audience how this works. There's a 100-point system in Canada to get in. 28 points for knowing the language. How about that? That's amazing. 25 points for education. 15 points if you have work experience. 12 points for your age. 10 points if you have a job offer. And 10 points for adaptability, i.e. the ability to assimilate. Jim, what's wrong with this system? To me, it sounds amazing.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with the system at all. I think the greater or larger question is, when did merit or meritocracy become a bad word? The reality is, in all of these pillars we're talking about, or policy pillars, whether it's immigration or energy or health care or whatever it happens to be, there's a virtuous circle that ties right back to the bottom of our economic system. And in this case, I would proffer that we should be looking at immigration the same way we do are coexisting with the lowest rungs in our own economic system. Why should we stretch our resources, the safety net that we have at the bottom of our society, thinner by opening our borders to other people? That makes, as you said in the very beginning, that makes no sense at all.
Alex, the idea that people will come here and be able to contribute as soon as they arrive seems like it bolsters the argument for immigration rather than saying, hey, give us, I won't say freeloaders, but certainly people who are going to be a strain on the system. Isn't this just a smart way to go?
I think it's a lot better way to go, but there's a few details that seem to be left out. I mean, when you take a look at the Canadian system, they have about 50% more immigration per year than the United States does as a percentage of their population. 20% of Canada's population is foreign-born, compared to only 13.5% of the American population, so that's a big improvement. But on top of that merit-based system in Canada, you also have many, many more humanitarian refugees as a percentage of their population. Provinces get to set their own immigration numbers that they regulate and determine. And you have a very large low-skilled guest worker visa program for Canada, which we don't really have here in the United States.
No, we don't have a guest worker visa program.
It's a big improvement.
But here's the thing, Alex. First of all, let's face it. Canada's got a tiny fraction of the population that we do. So the idea that they're bringing in a whole bunch of smart people that can help build their population and their economy underscores the idea that maybe this is the way to go, particularly in the future, Jim. We know things are going to get tough. And society will change, and the workplace will change, and the idea of bringing in more low-skilled or unskilled workers is just going to be a disaster in a robot, i.e., artificial intelligence world.
Well, that may be the case. So perhaps the better way to look at this is to say what we need to do is remove the hope-crushing barriers from entrepreneurship at the lowest levels of our society. First, for our own people, as Mr. Trump says, citizens first. And then secondly, if we have a matrix that these folks have to walk through, they should be able to access that system themselves. As an example, I don't think many immigrants come here because, I think they don't come here to be billionaires. They come here because they don't want to be judged by their color or their name or their place of origin or their religion. They come here because, in fact, they'd like to be judged based on their hard work and merit and fairness, just like we should be judging our own welfare system when we give it away to people who don't understand what earned success really is.
And real quick, Alex, I mean, in Canada, it starts with knowing the language, something that we've had progressives push back on in this country.
No, I mean, learning language is important, but the notion that immigrants don't learn English in the United States is also false. And I think one more point I want to make is we should let the American economy determine the types of people who should come here as immigrants and workers, not set it by Washington, D.C. A merit-based system is an improvement, but we can't have Washington dictate the exact types of workers who come here. Only the economy can do that. Only the free market can do that.
We've got to leave it there. Thank you both very much. Have a great weekend.